right, let's have this conversation with Ugwuanyi Charles, who is a chief consultant, neurosurgeon, and former chairman of the Nigerian Medical Association FCT chapter. Ugwuanyi, glad to have you. Join me in this studio.
Thank you very much.
Let me start. Yeah, glad to have you. Yeah, you can first. No, well, I'm discussing with you, so just face me. Let's discuss.
Excellent.
Now, let me start from where she stopped. She says not just a health crisis, but a national emergency. What do you make of that statement, that sentence?
It deserves a state of emergency. This situation at hand deserves a state of emergency. Because the truth of the matter is that the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals regarding achieving the health indices will become a pipe dream if we continue in this trajectory. A situation whereby both the capital budget on health and 1% consolidated basic healthcare provision funds is made unavailable. The problem is not that the funds are not there. No, the funds have been budgeted. You don't budget what you don't have. As a matter of fact, the National Assembly also does supplementary budget when the need arises. The question, the issue is at the point of releasing these funds. That is where we need to focus the attention on. We need to focus attention on the governmental agency, which is at the level of the Accountant General, and begin to ask questions there. Why are these funds being withheld? Because it is just a joke. Is it that you don't understand what health service delivery means, or that you're using some strategies which you call a bottom to top approach, which really should not apply in the health industry? If it doesn't apply in the ministry, in the military, on issues related to defense budget, it does not apply even in the National Assembly, where the running costs, capital expenditures are released fully. Why should it apply to the health industry? Let me take you further down. That the 4 thematic areas, a brainchild of the current Ministry of Health, to take healthcare delivery.
Why? I'm not cutting you short. Just pause there. Remember what you were discussing. We'll also get to what will emergency mean in the health sector. We'll take a break, just a little break. We'll get back and continue exactly where you stopped and discuss this issue further. We'll be back. Stay with us. All right, glad to have you back. You're still watching News Night, and we're still discussing with Ugwuanyi Charles, who's a chief consultant, neurosurgeon, and former chairman of the Nigerian Medical Association FCT chapter here in Abuja. And we stopped at what we were discussing about the 4 thematic areas you were talking about. And I said I'd ask you, when you talk about emergency, before we get to talk about the funds, we're going to break them down. When you say health emergency, what should we be looking at? Yeah, I mean, continue from where you stopped.
No. The point is that achieving the 4 thematic areas, a brainchild of this current Ministry of Health, is going to be a pipe dream. And I'll tell you why. Number one is that we need funds to penetrate the rural areas. The rural areas, that's where you have the primary health centers. 70% of Nigerians reside in those rural areas. And one of the 4 thematic areas is health security, and also providing infrastructure to activate those primary health areas. Now, let me remind you that in 2022, the Nigerian National Primary Healthcare Development Agencies published a data which says that out of the 34,000 primary healthcare centers across the country, less than 10 to 15% are still in existence. Not that they are working, still in existence. Now, that informed the decision of the current ministry to do something very smart, which is the aim to achieve reactivation of up to 17,000 of them out of those by 2027. They are hoping to rely on these funds, the consolidated funds, 1% consolidated, and also the capital expenditures. They must have this fund. The ministry must have this fund in order to attract counterpart funding from donor agencies. You are also aware that the Trump administration has removed some support.
Yep.
But there are still some international NGOs that have reached an agreement with Nigerian government. Okay, we will give you this if you bring this. Now, the person who is withholding these funds is also withholding counterpart funding, which you should have attracted to push into this primary health area.
Yeah, I'm going to provoke you to discuss along those lines. Shocking, the minister says funds not released, yeah, they continue immunization. Now, the funny thing is that from what I wrote here, on capital budget allocations, from the gravel locations that Oli just showed there, allocations rise, but disbursements keep lowering.
Yes, that is very troubling. In fact, it has dropped from 45% release to 30% release to currently 15% release, which means every year from 2022 till now, it keeps dropping by 15%. Now, if you extrapolate, if you project, it means that this coming 2026, there will be nothing to be released. But that does not mean that these funds have not been allocated.
So who is responsible? Why are the funds not being released in the first instance?
Well, I think that question should be directed to the relevant government agencies, because we know that funds are appropriated. You don't appropriate funds that are not there. And then it is the responsibility of the AG, Accountant General's office, to release those funds.
Yeah, but the Accountant General has somebody over him. Is he aware that these funds are not being released? If he's aware, what is he doing about it?
To be honest, those questions go beyond my scope. I am here as a clinician, and my primary responsibility is to look out for the Nigerian populace who deserve better than we are getting right now.
How does this impact on the healthcare in the country? Is the government really serious about the health of Nigerians?
Sir, the impact is huge. You need to travel to the rural areas and see what's going on there. Part of the primary responsibility of the primary health agencies is to prevent diseases, reduce maternal and child health. And you heard the minister say that they are struggling, bending over backwards to provide immunization. Let me remind you that until that one person in the most rural area in Nigeria is immunized and protected from infectious disease, none of us here in the city is safe. Don't forget that COVID started from Wuhan, a tiny village somewhere in remote areas of China. But it caused an international pandemic that locked down the whole world. So such funds should not be toyed with. They should be made available. Apart from preventing those diseases at that level, it will also reduce infant and maternal mortality and improve population health indices.
And apart from...
Additionally, when these activities are ongoing in the rural areas, it will even unlock the value chain in the health industry, because it will create room for distribution of drugs, pharmaceuticals, vaccines, and there will be a lot of jobs created. Okay,
before I let you run, because we don't have all the time, very quickly. Infrastructure is suffering moribund, primary, secondary, tertiary affected. You heard the man talking about it there. At this juncture, what should we be doing? We've talked about the problems. What should we be doing? We're talking about the health of Nigerians.
What we should do is that the paltry ones that are located should be released 100%. No discussions. In fact, what we should be talking about is that those paltry funds allocated are not enough. We are looking for 15% according to AU declaration, and we're hovering around 5%. Can we push it to 10%, 12.5%, and 15% and surpass and get to 20%? It is doable. That is what I mean by saying we must declare emergency in the health industry. The health of any nation, the wealth of any nation depends on the health of the nation. Thank you very much.
That's an axiom that we all talk about. Thank you so much, Ugwuanyi Charles, Chief Consultant, Neurosurgeon, and former Chairman of the Nigeria Medical Association, FCT chapter. Thank you for being on the program to discuss this very, very serious issue with me. Thank you.